Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, in delegates and distinguished guests. Welcome to the first technical session on the National Conference on Modern Logistics for Metals and Minerals. Before we dive into our technical discussion, I would like to extend a sincere thanks and appreciation to our organizer, Jindal Steel and Metallurgic Events, for bringing us together to address the evolving landscape of industrial logistics. Before I delve into my presentation, my name is Deepak Kumar. I am a mining engineer plus MBA. I have more than 11 years of experience. I closely work in the iron ore and steel sector for last 7-8 years, basically working in across all the mines in Odisha, specifically identifying the bottlenecks in the logistics, cost reduction, optimization, and digitalization. Today's session is about the slurry pipeline. So I think no one needs any introduction on the slurry pipeline. I have just make a small thought on, or you say a thought provoking, that what we need to do in order to make slurry pipeline as a main front logistics option for iron ore. I will go through as per the agenda. So I have kept it very simple and concise. We'll look into the iron and steel sector overview and then look into the slurry pipeline, what is happening across global as well as in India, what are the major challenges associated with slurry pipeline, specifically in India, and what is a likely way forward when we are thinking about slurry pipeline. We all know, sir, that India has an ambitious plan of achieving 300 million ton of steel by 2030 and 500 million ton steel capacity by 2047. If we see that what will be the likely iron ore demand, because the slurry pipeline currently mainly focuses on the iron ore transportation. Of course, in the global context, there are many other minerals like copper, phosphorite, limestone, even coal is being transported through slurry pipeline. But in India, the major focus is on iron ore right now. Apart from iron ore, some of the fly ash are also being transported through slurry pipelines. But now come back to the Indian iron ore demand. What we have seen in the recent past, that over the period, iron ore grade has drastically reduced. When we say grade, the average grade being consumed at the plants are drastically reducing. Earlier, when in 2015-16, when the grades was around more than 62-63% on an average, nowadays it's almost come down to 60%. Now this has a direct impact on the iron ore demand itself. So especially when we are growing at such a fast pace, the steel is growing at such a fast pace, the iron ore requirement will definitely cross 700 million ton or even 750 million ton if we consider the higher specific consumption in steel. Now, if we wanted to consume, or if we need to consume 750 million tons of iron ore, we need to transport those minerals or the iron ore from the mines to steel plant. Okay? Historically, most of the steel plants are located at hinterlands, mostly near to the iron ore mines or to the consumption centers. Especially the secondary steel players are near to the consumption centers, which leads to transportation of iron ore. If you see the numbers, this is FY24 number. We have hardly 20 million ton of slurry pipeline transportation, 140 million ton of rail, and balance goes through road. This is excluding the first mile and last mile road transportation. If we add that, the overall share of road in the iron ore logistics will go beyond 50% even. Now, despite having one of the largest rail network, the transportation through rail is a major challenge in India. Everyone knows that. So what's the alternate? Now, the alternate, which right now looks like that for iron ore, because slurry is feasible for iron ore, steel is altogether a different game for transportation. So what we can say that slurry pipeline emerges as a viable option, a logistics option, most economic, as well as the eco-friendly option for transportation of iron ore. This is one of the case study just to give a glimpse that what is the cost economics comes in when we compare slurry pipeline with respect to rail as well as the road movement. In terms of cost, slurry pipelines is almost 65% cheaper than rail and more than 75% cheaper than roadways. Just three figures, first three figures if you see, when we consider slurry pipeline without assuming the return water pipeline, it's coming around 0.8 to 0.9 rupees per ton per kilometer, including the capex cost, of course. If we add slurry pipeline, return water pipeline, it will slightly increases the overall cost of transportation near to 1 rupees or 1.1 rupees. If we add further desalination plant, because water is a scarce resource, especially for India, and going forward, it is a major bottleneck if we keep on consuming the fresh water for such a such transportation. So what we have understand that if and of course many of the steel plants are coming to the coastal areas. So if we consider desalination plant, it will drastically reduce the requirement of fresh water, which is a need of the hour right now. And if we add that as well, then still the overall cost for slurry pipeline is significantly lower than the railway as well as the road. Now, when we say railway and roadways, these are just the OPEX cost. I have not considered any CAPEX requirement for establishing the rail network or the road network. We are assuming that these are anyway public infrastructure which can be used. But for slurry pipelines, we have considered the entire CAPEX cost as well. So even after that, it is most economical, and we believe that everyone knows about this, but how we are going to make slurry pipeline as a forefront for transportation. Now, beyond economics, if we see, these are just the financial numbers, but beyond economics, what slurry pipeline gives us advantage is that it will have a higher reliability and the mineral tracking, which in iron ore is a major bottleneck right now, especially the grade slippage have lot of issues. There will not be any hidden cost because typically in the rail as well as the road, lot of hidden costs are involved, mainly from managing association, trade unions, the truck associations, and in terms of environment, it has a minimal pollution in terms of the air pollution or the noise pollution. These are some of the key long distance pipeline. So there is a discussions that for shorter distance slurry pipeline may not be viable. People are hesitant to set up small distance slurry pipelines, but across the world, if you see, the capacity as much as around 26 million ton of around 522 kilometers long slurry pipelines are established, and it is currently running. It's one of the largest Minas Rio. There are some incident also, but this is one of the largest slurry pipelines in the world. And if we see some of the smaller slurry pipelines like 2 million ton, 1.5 million ton, distance of around 25 kilometers, 60 kilometers is also operating across the world. Now coming to India, we have currently 4 slurry pipelines, although the total number is 5, but one is non-operating, so I have not included it here. 3 of them, 2 with AMNS, one with BRPL. It's a long operating slurry pipelines. Recently this year, Lloyds has added 10 million ton of 85 kilometer slurry pipeline from Hedri to Konsari. Now beyond this is one of the cheapest way of transporting material of especially iron ore. Many large players have already planned to establish slurry pipelines in the eastern region, specifically in the Odisha and Chhattisgarh. Many of them are already under construction or about to be commissioned or under various stages of approvals. Now, beyond that, in terms of emission, because greenhouse gas emission or carbon emission is one of the important agenda in today's world. So when we see the slurry pipeline transportation emission, what we have seen that it is significantly lower than the road transport. In terms of railway, it is not much because railway, especially the Indian railways, is almost more than 90% of Indian railways are electrified. So in terms of emission, because both consume electricity, slurry pipeline as well as the railway, the difference between rail and slurry pipeline is not much, but if we consider, because slurry pipeline will be a dedicated evacuation mode, if we consider green power or solar power specifically used for slurry pipeline, this can make RNO logistics almost zero carbon emission logistics method for RNO logistics. Now there are certain benefits, but there are certain risks also, especially the water demand. As I was mentioning, if proper planning and desalination plants are not planned or return water pipelines are not planned, it is going to make a significant impact on our water resources. Integrity and safety, of course, we heard about globally that there are many incidents of slurry pipelines, leakage and ruptures, but with the help of... Okay, now moving forward, I'm skipping next. There are certain challenges, especially in establishing the slurry pipelines. There are redundancy in approvals. There are multiple stages of approval required. There are delays in clearances and NOCs. Right of way unavailability is one of the important and most critical part of establishing slurry pipeline. And of course, there are some local resistance which many of the slurry pipelines players are facing right now. Now, what is the way forward? So this is just a thought for everyone that this lot of slurry pipelines are coming in India. Do we really need a separate statutory body for monitoring such a slurry pipeline? Conceptualization of national master plan for dedicated slurry pipeline corridor, similar to the railways and roadways, we must have. This multiple slurry pipelines are moving in the same pathways. We need to think about using shared uses and joint development in slurry pipelines to minimize the uses of ROW or ROU requirement. Enable green financing, encourage beneficiation and palletization, and encourage return water pipeline and desalination plant for slurry transportation. This is just a case in case if we wanted to implement the shared uses or the combined development of slurry pipelines. This can be a thought process which may come up with the help of industry stakeholder consultations. Another is the joint development. If we combine multiple slurry pipelines into single pipelines, it will reduce the ROW requirement as well as the capex requirement. Thank you, everyone. That's all from my side.